And so for 2016, I want us to kind of focus on what the future holds. We've kind of discussed 2015 and where we are and what we've seen so far this year. What do we think will be, I suppose, the game changers for us in 2016? And I suppose the kind of, attributing how the spend is spent and how it looks at that attribution, how we should be as an industry saying, well, yes, mobile is here, here and here, but you've just thought it as here. And actually it's all of these things combined. What territories do we think are going to really kind of up the ante in 2016? And, how do we get and continue to keep the momentum flowing with mobile and video?
I think that Facebook is going to get their act together on the two fronts of controversy of this year, which was how they measure the video views, how their video counts, which is going to align more with YouTube, which is going to make a huge difference in the confidence that clients have in spending their money on Facebook video. And also, they're going to start paying, finally, creators and influencers, which until now they haven't done. And so far, I think they had, I don't know how many billion piracy videos on their platform just in Q1 and Q2. So once they start paying influencers and influencers feel much more confident in using the platform in the same way that they use YouTube, that is going to have, and that's probably going to happen before 2016. So by the end of the year, we're going to see massive changes around that. And clients using much more creators as well and influencers on other platforms, including Facebook, but also Snapchat, Instagram. So that, for me, are going to be quite big game changers coming up.
More content that's or more variations of content that allows mobile and video to be more to have more benefit, and for those benefits to be more measurable. I also think we haven't really spoken about programmatic, and I think the rise of programmatic channels specifically for video, we're seeing a lot of momentum beginning to gather, specifically around the video area, and I think the last bit would be viewability. I think this whole viewability debate is going to most definitely have to be solved for us, for all of us to benefit, I think.
I think,
sorry. You go.
Oh,
go.
I know. You go.
Okay, I was just going to say, I think, I think it's the key to this year is going to be innovation as well. I think, it's going to be about formats. It's going to be how we use the content, like you say, using sponsored content and things that the consumer wants to see, and also avoids the ad blockers. I think making it all very relevant to the consumer again is very important. Programmatic video, like you say, I think is going to be a huge growth this year, because again, you're making it more relevant. You're using data to make sure that the ads you're delivering are a lot more relevant. In-content video, I think, is going to be an in-read video. I think is a fantastic format, and I think it's going to make huge strides this year, because pre-roll is great, but pre-roll has kind of got to a point where consumers just accept pre-roll as part of the content. They know if they want to watch content, they'll watch a video ad, and they'll skip it as soon as they can. Whereas if you're using very well targeted and relevant in-read video, the consumer is much more likely to see it. They're much more likely to engage with it. So I think in-read video format's going to be quite big, along with the programmatic side.
I think the top publishers are making beautiful formats, which as a consumer, it's more interesting than the news that you're trying to read, So I think there's so much potential there with the formats, as you were saying, with the publishers themselves. So there's a lot of exciting things happening on mobile with video, between Facebook and, top tier publishers really pushing the creative possibilities. It's really exciting for us, and we can finally present something that is native and mobile and content and all those buzzwords together. And really, create some imaginative work.
I was going to say that maybe video seeders might disappear next year, but maybe it's a bit early. But it's kind of going towards that, because I think at the moment the majority of video is bought directly, so it's around 60-70%. Then there's video seeders, and then there's programmatic, which is still tiny, even though people speak about programmatic pretty much every day in our industry. And I think programmatic is probably going to start take over, and is going to need much less reliance on third-party seeding companies, which actually are the ones that have got greater problems around transparency and viewability and all that. So I think probably going in that direction means that you solve more than one problem by really sorting the programmatic offering out.
Just lastly from me, I think in terms of bringing people into the experience, the communications, you already touched on all the ways that we're going to be able to do that increasingly so in 2016. But more importantly for me, on some angle, is the measurement of all of these different tools that we're using to bring people into the communications. Which ones work best, which ones don't, what we're trying to shift brand equity or sales. I think the measurement that joins the dots between the experience somebody has and whether it affects them in the right way and whether they do something with that, it's become a bit more sophisticated, which means with sort of an oversupply of options almost in terms of how we can bring someone into a story, what's effective for actually delivering the results that we need to on behalf of the brands that we're working with.